The scale of this project would intimidate the best development teams, so how have iniScene done? Well, firstly, this airport is epic in its ambition. It's more like modelling a small town in Microsoft Flight Simulator rather than an airport. It covers a colossal area of 12 square kilometres. This is truly a behemoth airport with multiple complex terminals. This add-on features a lot of detail missing in the Azobo implementation, available for premium deluxe owners of the sim. The British Airways Concorde is parked off the threshold of runway 27 left. The Airbus A380 Emirates model is present at a roundabout at the entrance, as is the Turkish Airlines roundabout. Terminal 5 is there in all its glory. The glass looks crisp and polished with nice smooth lines on the curved roof, and this is a marked improvement over the Azobo one. The outside has been very nicely done as well. Ground vehicles look the part, and the proportions of the jet bridges look much better than the Azobo implementation. These move nicely to the aircraft and even feature transparent windows, with this add-on featuring 5 jet bridge variations. The interior of Terminal 5 isn't modelled to the same level of detail as we saw at Bristol Airport, but it's perfectly adequate for outside viewing, and it does add the much needed 3D dimensionality. Car parks are well modelled, correcting many elevation mistakes found on the Azobo models. Many of the car parks also feature 3D rendered cars, with approximately 10,000 of these scattered around the airport. And multi-stories are, well, just that. They have multiple levels, unlike the flat implementations of the Azobo model. The scale of this airport becomes apparent when you look at the buildings nestled between the two runways, which includes hotels and car parks as well as complex road structures. Rotating the camera around just this centre area really helps to bring to life the scale of the undertaking. There's plenty of animated scenery components, including radars, comm towers, and even moving construction cranes. Taxiways are well modelled, and the devs have included 450 hand-placed custom taxi signs which look crisp and clear. The runway textures are good with clear tyre markings. However, the runway does seem awfully flat compared to other airports I've seen, and I don't see any reference to elevation data in the release notes. Not content with the challenge of the airport itself, the dev team have added in key landmarks around Heathrow, the majority of which are car parks and hotels, as you'd expect. During the day, the airport looks truly epic, alive and functioning with a clear focus on accuracy and detail. However, it does fall short at night. The runway just doesn't look like the bright and vibrant airstrip I was expecting. Terminal 5 has no internal illumination, which staggers belief since it does have an interior modelled. There doesn't appear to be any actual light source for the outside lighting, which feels flat and boring. The one exception to this is Terminal 3, where its distinctive purple lighting has been well recreated, and the Azobo version does a better job of the control tower, which features transparent glass. The iniScene one does not. I noticed some stuttering whilst filming, so I was a little apprehensive when I pulled on my VR headset to look at performance. However, I was pleasantly surprised. It's not the smooth experience you'll get in smaller airports, and you shouldn't expect it to be. And there is a little bit of stuttering here and there. However, it was perfectly playable for slow taxis. Takeoff was acceptable with a nice smooth roll and reasonable frame rates, and most importantly, frames were reasonable on approach, allowing you to concentrate on a good landing. You're not going to get a consistent 45 frames per second with this airport, and in places it drops as low as 30 frames per second. This does reduce smoothness, with motion reprojection struggling to keep up, but I wasn't reaching for one of the many vomit bags in my 787 Dreamliner either. There are some oddities like roads which should go under taxiways, and roads which have been laid on top of the originals, and in places the blending of this airport scenery with satellite and overhead terrain data is very questionable indeed. But these are limitations of the sim rather than the add-on pack, and this is what I think the devs have got right. They knew the epic scale of this airport, and they understood the limitations of the sim, which is why they've compromised in places. The Textures aren't the best I've seen, nor is some of the building modelling. Frankly, it can't be. You can't have reasonable performance and the highest standard of textures and building interiors with an airport of this scale. And I will say this, sitting in a 787 in VR at a gate at a Heathrow airport of this standard was a jaw-dropping moment. I felt in awe of the scale of this airport as I taxied to the runway, even more so in my tiny PA-28, which I don't think I would want to take round Heathrow for real. And there's definitely an element of the aircraft impacting frames, as the external camera in VR had very solid performance indeed. The scale of this airport translates well into the air as well, and is up there in terms of experience with circling big cities. I do think the night lighting has let down what was otherwise a strong implementation. It's certainly better than the Azobo version and still worth the upgrade if you have it, and it's a miles improvement over the base version. A future release of this will be available on the Xbox via the in-game marketplace, which suggests the devs are continuing to optimise its performance. There's certainly a lot of LOD, or level of detail work, gone in here to keep frames up, and I suspect that we can expect that this will continue to improve with future versions. This is available for PC from the iniScene for $24 or £18 plus local taxes, and this is more expensive than other airports I've taken a look at, but I think that's reasonable given the epic scale of it. It's got to lose some points due to the poor night lighting, but it gets some back for an expertly thought through performance balance. If you've got VR Smooth for most other areas, this will be perfectly playable for you, and it's epic on a scale that I've not yet seen in this sim. So we've awarded the iniScene London Heathrow Airport 4 out of 5 stars. Another one of my favourite add-on airports is Bristol, with levels of detail I've not seen in any other airport. Check out my review of it here on the left.